Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to explain how to use for each command or loop command in Openbots. So even before we use for each or loop command, we need collection, or we need some data table which has multiple rows in it. So what I have done over here, let me disable this part. So I'm creating a new data table and then I'm trying to add 4 rows of data to it. So data table is basically a table. It will have columns and corresponding data in it. So even before you create this in Openbots, first thing that you need to do is you need to create a variable. So this is my variable name, v test data table, and this is the variable type that we need to assign. So it should be of variable type data table. Once you create this variable and once you create this data table, you can start using this variable in create data table command. So I have also created one more variable, v count, and variable type is integer 32. I'll tell you why I have created. So here what I'm trying to do, I'm creating a new data table with 2 columns. So this is my first column, first name. This is my second column, last name. So just to summarize, I have a table which has 2 columns, and it has 2 columns. So once I create, initially, right, whenever we create this data table will be empty. We need to add a few values to it. Or if you already have a data in Excel spreadsheet or CSV, then you can read that data, and then you can assign that data to a data table variable. From there you can loop it. But just for this example, I'm creating this data table from scratch, and then I'm trying to add 4 rows of data. So how do we add new data to a data table? So there is a command called data table add data row. So you need to select your data table over here, and then you need to specify which column you want to add it. So here I'm specifying first name, last name. So this is what I'm trying to insert. So I'm trying to insert 4 different values. So I'll just show you one by one. So initially, I'm assigning Rob Williams. Second one is Anna Frank. Third one is Viru Prabhu. And then fourth one is Ganesh Murthy. So till now, we just created this data table, and we have 4 rows of data in it. We have a table and 4 rows of data. Now, how do we loop it? So even before we loop, let's verify how many rows of data present in it. So how do we do that? So for that, we have a separate command. It's called get data row count. So if you have watched my previous video, I have showed you how to get row count for a list command. Similarly, we also have a separate command just to get a data row count for a data table. So that's the command which I have used over here, and then I have assigned that count a variable. So this is my data table, and this is the output variable that I have assigned. So this variable I'm checking through message box, like how many rows of data present in it. So let me run and show it to you. 4. Yeah, this particular data table has four rows of data now. I'll click OK. Now we need to loop it. So how do we loop it? Like any other RPA tool, even Openbot supports all the loop commands. If you want to use loop command, you need to go to core commands, and then there is a specific folder loop. If you go inside this loop, you can see different types of loop commands. So in this example, uh, I'm displaying only, or I'm explaining only about for each command. So because for each command is the most commonly used loop. So how do we use this? We just need to drag and drop for each command. Initially, when you drag and drop, only these two lines will appear. Let me enable and show it to you. So these 3 will not be there. Disable. So it will be empty initially. So when you open it, 2 things we need to specify. So first thing, input collection. So if it is collection, right, many times developers will do this mistake. They will try to add data table name, and they'll try to click OK, and they'll try to assign. So Openbots will throw multiple errors. Sometimes data type will not be matching. Sometimes, if you simply mention data table name, it will not work. So this is the syntax, or this is what you need to follow. You need to update your data table name and then dot rows. And output collection, you need to assign it to a variable. And like I said, this data row should be of data variable type should be data row. If you see here, your data table variable type is data table, and if you, and your whatever rows that you are assigning inside a loop, that should be having variable type as data row. So here it requires two things to be assigned. So this I have already explained. So this one, v data row. Once you assign this, basically what we are trying to do here, we are reading this table row by row, and then that complete row data we are trying to assign it to this variable, this output variable. So if you have 10 rows of data with the 10 columns, then this data row will have 10 column data for a single row. I'll click OK. And how do we read individual column data? So this is how you can read it. So now in this for each command, we are assigning one row of data at a time. So in our case, we only have two columns over here. So this is how you can check. So I'm just assigning v first name, v data row, in square brackets you can update 0. So index will start from 0. So if you update 0, it is first column. If you want to see second column, it's 1. Similarly, if you have 10 columns, you can start incrementing the value. Since I only have two columns, I have updated only 0 and 1 over here. So let me run and show it. So yeah, this was my first message box where we were trying to get the number of rows. It's 4 rows. So this is my first name, last name. That was like first customer, or first row. This is my second row, Anna. This is my third row. This is my last row. So this is how you can use for each command in Openbots. So in the upcoming videos, I'll explain other loop commands.